If you know me or anything about what I've ever done, you never hear me say this. I've never said this before. But I fear for Candace Owens' safety, for her life, for her well-being. It is not beyond the realm of possibility for there to be instituted by some jackals wet work. Sounds drastic, doesn't it? Sounds like what is? I am, no pun intended, dead serious. The fear that I have for Candace Owens is not that someone is going to openly threaten her tomorrow or carry through with it or make it look like it was self-imposed. I'm not worried that there are shadowy figures even waiting to do something dramatic or violent. That idea misses the real problem. And that may sound strange to you, but that's not the problem. Because what is truly unsettling, what I worry about more, is much quieter and much more familiar. It is the silence, the shrug, the way people seem eager to move on. Meh, what are you going to do? To not react, not follow up, not even pause to ask basic questions out of fear that, we don't want to get into that crazy conspiracy theory. See how we're trained? The CIA taught us that. Right after the Warren Commission, teach them, weaponize the term conspiracy theory. Whenever they're rightfully suspicious, call it a conspiracy theory, intimating some kind of mental illness. What scares me is that instead of doing something, they might instead say, well, she was controversial anyway, or she was kind of crazy, so whatever. Or that doesn't surprise me, or that's what you get. There are people today who are so callous, they actually like to say, well, that's what you get. She was a big mouth. And the more possible theories for potential assailants, the more they'll run from it. You and I will say, great, we'll take it. Make it complicated. Let's eliminate as many as possible. To other people, they say, here we go again. This is reality, my friend. This isn't just a joke. This is serious. They're just going to... What scares me is that nobody will care. And the people whose own... This may be cruel, but the people whose digital platform was being kind of minimized and tapped into by virtue of her fame, they'll be happy because they'll pick up the flack. They'll pick up the overflow. And they can go online and say, oh, this is a terrible thing. I'm sorry to say this, but this is how bad things are. See, that pattern should make people uncomfortable because we have seen it before. And it never ends well. Not because there's always some big evil plot, but because when people stop caring, bad things get easier. Look at Epstein. You know what happened. It's homicide. Absolutely. Everyone knew something was off for years. Bill Barr, he said it. Dan Bongino, Kash Patel, sellouts. They said it too. Oh, it's obviously. Oh, take it from us. We've been through this. We've already been through. I'm not going to go through petechial hemorrhaging and hyoid fracture and thyroid cartilage. It's a homicide. Stop it. But you see, even that, people knew for years. It was an open secret. Jokes were made. What about Christmas time? And this ornament didn't hang itself on the tree. I mean, it's a joke. Jokes, whispers circulated. Everybody knows, and yet nothing really happened because nobody wanted to deal with it. It's too much work. Nobody wanted to be the one who kept pushing because we're busy. And when it finally blew up, people were shocked for about, 5 minutes? And then tired, and then exhausted because they can't handle that. And then they moved on. Look at JFK. whether you believe the official story or not. If you do, you're demented. But that's not the point. The point is that asking questions became taboo. Curiosity itself got treated like a problem. And over time, people learned that it was safer just to accept whatever they were told and stop thinking about it. This is beyond your pay grade. Excuse me. Let the government figure it out. It's been determined. The same thing happened with Virginia Giuffre. Think of how critical this woman was. The number one witness whose whose picture appeared. And my wife and I said, this is a homicide picture. You could see the lividity and the... nobody... To this day, she... Well, anybody follow up? No, not really. TMZ or nobody. Once they're not interested in you, that's it. This is, do I have to tell you again, the number one most important witness in the Epstein case, and nobody says anything? And you're wondering why a lot of women are not necessarily coming forward with new information? Now, who the hell wants to be the next Giuffre? That's the importance of this. Anybody talking about that? No. And instead of focusing on the system around her, the conversation and the discussion turned into tearing her apart as a person, questioning her motives, her sanity, her stability, her past, until people felt justified in tuning out. And that's the thing. Even the assassination attempt on the president followed the same script. Shock headlines, and then almost immediately, a push to normalize it and move on. Like digging into it is too much. It would be too awkward or annoying or pointless. See, this is why the concern about Candace Owens. It's not about hitmen or secret orders or, jackals, the CIA wet work guys. No movie level villains. It's about the public reaction or lack of one. Because we have become a culture that avoids reacting to anything that feels uncomfortable or complicated. People aren't stupid. They just do not want the hassle. They're busy. They don't want the argument. They don't want to be labeled. They don't want to be called paranoid or conspiracy-minded. So the easiest move is to disengage. You can see it everywhere. Someone raises a concern, a worry, and instead of people saying, let's look at it, they say, oh, no, here we go again. Here he goes again. Alex Jones, crazy, tinfoil hat. Or, in terms of Candace, well, she brought this on herself. That's not critical thinking. That's self-protection. Well, what are you going to do? If you're mentioned on social media for more than 5 minutes, you will be loved or hated. They'll hate the way you look. They'll hate your family. They'll hate the way you speak. They will hate you because this medium brings out the hate like nobody's business. Somewhere along the way, we learned that caring too much is embarrassing. That staying on a topic too long is somehow unhealthy. That noticing patterns and schemes, repetitions, means you're unhinged. And that the smartest thing you can do is keep your head down and your mouth shut and don't get involved. The Kitty Genovese theory. See, that mindset is the real danger. That's what scares me. Not because it proves anyone is out to get Candace, but because it creates a world where if someone or something, I should say, genuinely bad happens, everyone already knows how to respond. They sigh. They dismiss it. They move on. I told you so. When people say they don't want to be called conspiracy theorists, what they really mean is they don't want social trouble. They don't want to be laughed at. You don't want to be isolated. And that fear shapes behavior more effectively than any threat ever could. You don't need anyone telling you to shut up if you've already learned to shut yourself up. You're a good soldier. I'm not getting involved. And that's why words like crazy are so powerful. Gaslighting. Once you label someone that way, true gaslighting, you no longer have to listen. You no longer have to think. You no longer have to wrestle with uncomfortable questions. You get to feel reasonable while doing nothing. History shows over and over that the worst outcomes don't come from outrage. They come from apathy, from people being too tired or distracted or cautious to stay engaged. See, silence feels harmless, but it's not. Silence is how accountability fades without a fight. See, none of this means Candace is right about everything or nothing. That's not even the issue. Or that she should be treated like a saint. That's not the point. That's not it. The point is that a healthy society does not decide who deserves attention based on how inconvenient they are, or what a pain in the neck they are, or whether we like them or not. Look up Dorothy Kilgallen. Look what happened to her. Do some research. You'll see. This isn't new. See, the point also is that when people stop reacting, because reacting has become socially risky, something is deeply broken. You don't need to believe in dark forces to recognize that. And you just need to look at how often the same thing happens over and over again. Someone raises an uncomfortable issue. People roll their eyes. The conversation gets framed as annoying or toxic. And everyone quietly agrees to just forget about it. The real fear is not that someone will do something to Candace. No. The real fear is that if something did happen, the response would be a collective yawn, a few headlines, a few takes, and then a fast return to business as usual, because you've been told ahead of time, she's crazy. She's nuts. See? See how that works? The gaslight demystifies. It habituates you a priori to her demise, to her removal, to her expurgation. See, that's not because people are evil. No, it's because we've been trained to believe that caring is dangerous. And it's an investment you want to take. You don't want to do it too much. And disengagement is smart. And that's why this matters. Not because of one person, but because once a culture decides that looking away and looking the other way is the safest option, anything can happen. And no one will feel responsible. That's what I worry about. You think I'm exaggerating? Think I'm going too far with this one? I don't. It's not my nature. So, my dear friends, you have been wonderful. Thank you so much. See, this is what we do. I was talking to my wife. I asked you to follow her at Lynn's Warriors. Okay? She devotes every moment of her available day to protecting children, to stop online predation, stop human trafficking. I mean, it's going on. And I give this as an example. You cannot believe the number of people who tell her. It's icky. It's icky. See, it's like this with Candace. By the way, follow her at Lynn's Warriors here on YouTube. I would appreciate it, and so would she. I'm a very reasonable man, my friends. I've been doing this for a long time. I've seen them come, seen them go. I don't do performance concern. I'm not some kabuki theater where I wring my hands and pretend like I'm worried about something. I don't do that. When I'm calm, that's when I'm the most dangerous. During stress, I don't yell and scream. I focus. And I'm focused now. If you think this is just about Candace Owens, you're missing the point. And I know you don't think that, but some people do. They say, oh, are you talking about her again? You're missing the point. This is a learning example. This is an exemplar. So my friends, thank you for this. Thank you for watching this. Please like the video. You know how these demographics work. Like the video. Subscribe to our noble channel. We thank you so much for your support. I have some questions afterward. Your questions have been terrific. You've been so kind. For years, I never read comments because they're just, ooh. I was like, what am I doing? I would inspire such. So I thought, I'll let people talk, but I don't have to read my weight into my own abuse. But these have been great, and I thank you. So please weigh in. Good, bad, or indifferent. You don't have to say nice things, but they're appreciated. So let's go through this. Accept my thanks. Accept my incredible, absolute thanks. And comment as you see fit.